Years ago, I received a call from the director of nursing at the Banner Boswell Hospital. It was a particularly busy time frame for them, and they were very, very shorthanded at the hospital. The director of nursing called me and she said, "We just got a patient who has been admitted. She's 97 years old and she's completely unresponsive. We're not expecting her to make it to the night. Unfortunately, her daughter is the only living relative that she has, and she lives in Europe. She's in London, and I don't think that her daughter's going to make it back in time to say goodbye to her mom, but she is asking if we can help find somebody who can sit with her mom so her mom's not alone when she passes." So I said, absolutely, I would love to be able to help with that. I got the contact information for the daughter, and we had a phone call, and we found out a little bit about this woman and how she was a very strong Christian woman, and her faith and her belief was very, very important to her. And the daughter explained to me that by the time I got on the plane and I make the long journey to the United States, my mom will probably have already passed. And she was an attorney, and she was involved in a very large case in London. And so she couldn't really take a lot of time. So she said, "I'd already said my goodbyes the last time I was there. I'm okay with this. And mom won't even know I'm there anyway. So if I just don't want her to be alone. So the moment I find out she's passed, I'd like to be able to wait and then come out so I can take care of her estate at the same time." So I went ahead and scheduled to have a couple of caregivers for the next couple of days, just to be on the safe side, to just come and sit in the hospital. And really all they needed to do was just sit there and be next to her, because there was not a whole lot doing. They weren't really treating her or anything. There was nothing more that they can do. 11 days later, she passed away. And after she passed, I got a call from the director of nursing, and she shared with me, she said, "I just wanted to give you a little feedback about your caregivers." And at first my heart kind of sank, and I thought, oh my goodness, why in the world would you need to give me feedback? What did they do, kind of thing? And she said, "No, I don't know if you realize the impact that a caregiver has and how powerful it is." And I was like, "Tell me more." And she said, "Well, I called you a couple weeks ago to help out with this woman who was completely non-responsive, and all you needed to do was have somebody come and sit next to her hospital bed until she passes." And she said, "Your caregivers did much, much more than that." And she said, as the days drew on, we started noticing a trend in our hospital, and a lot of our staff, the doctors and the nurses from the other units, were coming by this unit to pass by just to see what was actually taking place in this room, because everybody was talking about it. And she said, any time, day or night, you would walk by the room and your caregivers would be sitting there. And sometimes they would be sitting next to her, telling them about their kids as if it was their grandmother, sharing stories. Other times they would be reading from their favorite book, or they'd be rubbing lotions on her hands or her feet. Other times they were reading from the Bible. She said, but my favorite was when you would hear singing down the hallway, and your caregivers were singing at the top of their lungs to this woman and just sharing this moment. And she said, "I don't know if you realize the impact that those caregivers had." And she goes, "What surprised me most was that these caregivers who came in and treated her as if she was their own grandmother, the most special person in the world, had never even had so much as a greeting of a hello from this woman in their life." And she said, the last thing that goes is the hearing. And I truly believe that she lived 11 days because she had somebody who was just in an amazing way loving on her and treating her as if she was the most precious thing on this earth.